welcome to the Dogtor Bros, where we have an honest discussion around vet life in and out of the clinic. My name is Jeff. I'm your doc of the day and your guide through this episode. I am a veterinary dermatologist living in Louisville, Kentucky, and I'm here with my closest friends from vet school.
Hey, this is Chris. I'm a GP in North Carolina.
And this is Adam. I'm a relief veterinarian in Louisville, Kentucky.
Very good. And to get us started off, we're going to start off with a little fun opening question. We're talking about toxic things in the clinic today and common toxins. So a natural first question is, name one of your toxic traits.
This is Adam. I none. You know, I'm just too perfect.
Listeners, he tried this before we were recording. I was like, I swear to God, if you don't give an answer, I'm going to be so mad.
No. All right. I would say one of my biggest toxic traits, and my wife could attest to this, is whenever I get like angry or mad or like in the heat of an argument or anything like that, I just kind of shut down. Like I just need to like get away from the situation. I'm one of those people, like, I gotta go think about things for a while. Like, I can't just hash it out there in the moment. Like, pretty much right away, I just shut down. And I'm like, I gotta go think, get my own thoughts in order. And then we can come back later and, you know, talk about it later, but shut down in the moment. And especially, that's kind of toxic for me and my relationship, because Allison is more of a like, let's talk about it. Let's get it all like situated right now. So both of us have had to compromise a fair amount. We've done really good compromising on that just because we know how the other one is. But yeah, that's me. As soon as I get heated or things start, you know, escalating, I'm more of I need to shut down and just collect my thoughts.
It's a good answer.
You know what's so funny about that? Yeah, it's a great answer. And because to some way, like, at least you know, so you can like now make it better and like circle back and make it better. Like maybe not shut down for too long or whatever. Because I am the Allison in that scenario. I'm like, let's talk about the problem. Where are you going? Stop walking away from me.
Give me a minute, damn it.
This wasn't going to be my answer, but I'm like, wait, is that my toxic trait? And I'm like, the walking behind you, I'm like, we're going to finish this now. Probably, did I just therapize myself? That's probably not super helpful. But I like conflict resolution. Since like we're going to figure it out now is kind of my personality. Maybe I should back off a little bit. There you go. That'll be my answer. I'm a little intense in conflict resolution. That's my trait.
I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle of you two for that one. Because I don't know.
Pick something else.
Indecision.
Yeah, indecision. Actually, that's not a bad one. That probably is one. That can be definitely indecisive. Or I can be impatient when it like getting stuff done. Like when I know we have stuff to do, like I don't like people like to strategize. Like, let's just get it over with. Let's go and do it. So I don't know. Yeah, I guess that's it. Like, I don't know. When the morning gets to work, I'm like moving 1,000 miles an hour. And I sometimes don't realize how fast I'm going.
Yeah, that's the truth. So let's get into talking about some toxins. So a lot of this is sourced from the Pet Poison Helpline. I think it's literally petpoisonhelpline.com, which you can go take a look at. But we have a list of common toxins, and I will lean a little bit into my GP friends here to help me because they deal with more toxins and things on a daily basis than I do. But I'll just start off with the obvious question. So what are some common toxins that are in dogs and cats that y'all deal with?
Chocolate. Xylitol. You know, keep going.
Go for it. Yeah, give it to me.
Yeah, those are the most common for me. Chocolate, xylitol, caffeine is another big one. Grapes. Grapes are kind of a hard one. Sometimes people will ask and be like, my dog ate some grapes. And I'm like, how big's the dog? How many grapes? And they tell me, but there's no real like dosage comparison for grapes that I've seen. Like it's like it could be, you know, a Great Dane that ate 3 grapes and it's toxic, or a Chihuahua that ate 15 and it's fine. It's kind of patient dependent on grapes, so that's a tough one. So I kind of try to go ahead and treat supportively regardless. Some human medications, specifically NSAIDs, like ibuprofen is a big one. Marijuana is another one we see from time to time. Those are some of the bigger ones that we'll see.
Yeah, I think those are good answers. Other ones that I think shaped out some of the top 10 were like garlic and onions, rodenticides, because leaving out like, well, like rat poison and things like that. And we'll talk about a couple of more on this episode. But I want to spend the bulk of our time kind of talking about clinical signs and treatments that you would do for some of these. So again, today, like I'll chime in here and there, but my general practitioners are the experts for this episode. So I'm looking to you two. Tell me, give me a toxin or two. Tell me clinical signs that a dog or cat might come in with those, and how do you like to treat it?
This is Chris. We'll go with chocolate. So chocolate, I don't see a whole lot of toxicity with it because most of the time people are eating milk chocolate. And so going with how much cacao is in it, the darker the chocolate, the worse it is for them. So like 97 would be terrible, but like milk chocolate, like it's so much sugar and milk added to it that it's really not that much chocolate in it, or the dogs have to eat so much amount. So like Halloween candy or Easter candy, whatever holiday you're celebrating candy, they typically don't, there's not enough dark chocolate or cacao in it to have an issue, but a lot of times it's GI upset. They're acting like a little kid on caffeine running around or a sugar high. And the big thing we treat for is GI upset and kind of treat those symptoms from there.
And I think with chocolate, they also, I hope I'm not getting this mixed up with caffeine. Like, do they also have heart problems or like arrhythmias?
They can, with like super high doses with it. But again, I think it's more like an ER thing. We'll see those. Like, as of recently, every time I've had someone call about chocolate, I'm like, how much did you give them? And they're like, oh, it's this amount. We look it up in the calculator, and I was like, they're fine. They're going to have an upset stomach, most likely, or excitability. But I haven't seen those crazy symptoms yet.
Okay, fair enough. What about you, Adam?
Yeah, this is Adam. One other fun fact that I learned about chocolate a long time ago is that it actually slows the gastric emptying time of dogs. So typical gastric emptying time, about 4 to 6 hours. If it's chocolate toxicity, you actually have a little longer than that to kind of decontaminate, make them vomit if needed, activated charcoal, that sort of thing. So I found that interesting about chocolate. Chocolate is obviously a big one that I see as well. Some other ones that I'll see on occasion. I know Jeff mentioned the rodenticides, and there's a few different ones there that kind of act in different ways. But if you catch it early enough, decontamination is key. So inducing vomiting and then activated charcoal. Those are obviously the biggest things that you want to do. Marijuana is another one. A lot of times when I've seen marijuana toxicity, it's at the point where they're already showing clinical signs. So not necessarily that the owner saw them ingest it, but the owner states there's a possibility. And then we see them, and they can present kind of I've seen a couple different ways. They can be really disoriented and really just kind of spacey and out of it. I've seen them be pretty twitchy with marijuana toxicity. They can actually have a hypothermia or a hyperthermia. So you could see either with it. And really at that point, treatment is pretty much just supportive. Just kind of helping them through that. Plenty of fluid therapy, help kind of flush the system out. Sometimes I'll recommend hospitalization. A lot of times they don't really want to do that. But again, just kind of monitoring. And unfortunately, at that point, kind of waiting it out. But those are two of the bigger ones that I'll see is rodenticide and marijuana on top of chocolate, obviously. Chocolate probably being the most common.
Yeah, and this is Jeff. And one thing I wanted to point out, I believe, y'all again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think marijuana is the one where they do some urine dribbling. Have y'all seen that?
Yes, I have seen that a little bit as well. So you will sometimes see some urine dribbling, again, just a laxity in the sphincter muscles secondary to that. So, yeah.
And I also think that's kind of interesting because marijuana is a good one where it's been a long time since I've been in GP, but I had like a couple of suspects, or I will, again, like we're not out here to bust anybody because we're just trying to help your pet, but I feel like clients are a little bit more shy about saying what
Absolutely.
happened.
Yeah.
Do y'all have it? I can share my experience, but do y'all have any like clients or stories about that come to mind?
Yeah, this is Adam. I'll just say in general, like that's one of those things to where like 9.9 times out of 10, like I have to present that to the owner. They're not necessarily going to volunteer that information. I have to be blunt and flat out ask them, is there any possibility that we could have gotten into marijuana? And I'll let them know. Like, there's no judgment in my mind. I know, we're kind of in a time where it's becoming illegal or legal in a lot of states. Personally, here in Kentucky, it is still illegal for recreational use anyway. But again, like that's not my job. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to help the pet. So, being honest and upfront with your veterinarian when they ask those questions is really going to be what's best to help the pet.
And this is Chris. I mean, I have the same with you guys as we don't like. I think it was worse earlier on in our careers because it was still kind of like illegal-ish or more taboo, but now it's just becoming more mainstream, so it's not as much of a deal. A lot of times the owners are just more embarrassed about it, like, oh yeah, I do have some, and it's like, okay, cool, well now we can treat it. Like it's like not a big deal, but like we can go through all these rabbit holes of like trying to figure out what's going on with your dog. Or if you just are upfront with us about it, then we're just like, cool, now we have a treatment for it and a diagnosis, and it's a lot easier and a lot less expensive than going the other way.
Mm-hmm. And this is Jeff again, and I'll mention like this is a good tip, I guess, for your veterinary professional is if you're suspicious and some of those clinical signs are kind of lining up for you for suspicion of marijuana toxicity, like I agree with Adam, like it is helpful to bring it up first and maybe break the ice and let the client know like you're not out to get them. Honestly, we don't have enough time, I feel like, to even report people, and like our job, like that is not our job. We're not officials of the law. Our job is to help the pet, and so that's one thing that can be really helpful because testing is really, as far as I know, still is not amazing. I think when I was a rotating intern, we used to use some human tests and we would put urine on it, but it was still kind of like they're not super sensitive and specific. They're just like kind of an idea in the right direction. If it happens to be positive, then great. But if it's not positive, it doesn't mean the toxicity isn't there.
This is Adam again. I just wanted to point out that there was, when we were looking through this list of the 10 most common toxins that we see in veterinary med, the one that jumped out to me as the most shocking was carprofen, which is a veterinary anti-inflammatory drug. So that I guess that may be seen with inappropriate dosing, maybe. Obviously, with carprofen, GI effects are common, not uncommon, I'd say. So vomiting, diarrhea, you can see those types of things. But I found that interesting that was actually listed as one of the most common quote unquote toxins that we see in veterinary medicine.
Yeah, 100% agree. And I wanted to mention a specific one of these toxins that I've dealt with way back when I lived in Texas. It's called sago palm, which it almost looks like a little palm tree that is like sprouting from the ground, and every single part of the plant is toxin. And it's like ingrained in my brain because it was one of the most common things I saw living in South Texas. And it can cause like severe liver damage, potential liver failure, vomiting, diarrhea, almost always required like hospitalization unless the owner came in like right after it happened and was like, hey, I know my dog had sago palm. Is there anything we can do about this immediately? And then we would induce vomiting and do a lot of supportive care and fluids, etc. And I know, Chris, you have a Florida specific one I wanted to bring up. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, it's a bufo toad or cane toads. They are a non-native toad in Florida that was brought in to help with pests, and then it created more issues. Either way, they're super common in the summer, and I've had dogs that have gotten bufatotoxicity. I think only one we had to go when I was younger to the vet. Most of them were just, we treated them at home, and we just treated them by shoving a water hose up their mouth to get all of the like toxin out of it. And that's a way to treat it too. Like that's in like literally the literature says to like flush out their mouth and rinse out their eyes. So that way you can get rid of the toxin faster. But yeah, it's when they like bite onto a toe, they can eat them sometimes or just lick them. They'll have like CNS signs. They'll have foam. They'll look like a rabid animal because they're foaming at the mouth and like seizing and stuff. So it looks crazy, but yeah, so that's one commonly seen, and they just do supportive care if you do see it in practice and everything.
Yeah, I mean, that's good advice. I mean, like I remember this because you've mentioned it before, and then our other past guest host, Dr. Andrea Hernandez, because she lived in Florida, has dealt with them before. So I remember like just listening from you two that's a big thing. Looking back at my list of different things that are part of the most common, like ones that I think are becoming more commonplace or known more, perhaps. I'd say like most people know not to give garlic in general, because I know that can lead to methemoglobinemia, which is a word I haven't said in a very, very long time, and which basically it causes anemia because it replaces, I think, like oxygen on red blood cells, making it difficult to actually, for like a red blood cell to carry oxygen or something like that. I'm getting some head nods. I feel like that sounds good because I haven't treated this in so long, but that's a really good thing to keep in mind. Like, don't give your dogs garlic bread. Don't give them shallots, anything in that family, onions, all have some of those similar signs, and they can get very, very sick. I think they can also get GI signs. And one thing we haven't mentioned yet, which I was interested in y'all's opinion, or how often do y'all use, or have you used the pet poison hotline? Because I know I have.
This is Chris. So we use it pretty often. I mean, whenever there's someone calling about a poison or something, then we tell them to call the pet poison hotline. Like the only one I don't really call for is chocolate, because there are so many calculators out there that you can figure out the dose pretty easily. But we had one the other day where someone called about their cat. Like they got like into a Tide Pod or exploded into their mouth, whatever it was weird. And I'm like, I have no clue. Call pet poison hotline. And then they called them, and they're like, oh yeah, it should be non-toxic. Just watch for symptoms of like aspiration if it did aspirate or something. But yeah, we use it pretty much all the time.
And that's fair. Like at the clinic, I feel like we would do a lot of, and tell me if this is still the case, like I would have my clients call the hotline first, get a case number, and then I would take that case number, call the hotline, and then talk about the case. Is that still commonplace?
Yeah, that's what we do, is tell them to call it first, because it's usually cheaper for them to call than for us to call. So I just don't call them and get that way they can also, if there's any treatment they can do quickly at home, and then bring them in.
Okay, fair enough. And if things haven't changed, again, my memory is a little bit dated on this, but like I think you can continue, like if there's something directly related to the case, like they can call back if they need more support.
Correct. Yeah, they give you a case number, you call them, and then you can even call them like, hey, they're doing this weird symptom now, or this is now what we're seeing on blood work, whatever it is. They can go over the case with you, and then they can kind of give you recommendations, and then you can follow up with it again the next day, and until basically it's closed out and they're better or not.
Yeah. hopefully better. And I'll say very obvious disclaimers, like if you happen to be a pet parent listening to this, go through your family vet about whatever potential toxin you're dealing with. This is very general advice, so please check in with a veterinarian for anything specific. So, but these are good things to look out for general education. And one more I wanted to bring up specifically, I guess occasionally, I don't see this happen a lot, so I'm interested if either of you have ever seen this, but like antihistamines are used every now and then, or frequently enough because they're over the counter for skin itchiness or allergic itch. It's a common over the counter go to. I often will remind my owners, like, if you're going to use Benadryl or Zyrtec, common over the counter antihistamines, do not use the ones that have like the D as in dog, like the ones that are like Zyrtec D, because it is the decongestant version. I don't want them to have that. And in general, I believe that's behind the counter now. So they're behind the counter, but you can still, just like in most pharmacies, I think there's often like a card you can pick up and then take that card, and then you still have to purchase it behind the counter, like something of the sort I've had to do. Those are the ones I don't want my patients to get, but regular Benadryl and regular Zyrtec are pretty safe to give. Again, go through your vet to get the dosage, but if they're going to be tried, and that is fine to try as long as they do not have the D. Anyway, I will say it is just very important to give, if you're going to give an antihistamine, regular Benadryl, regular Zyrtec, without the decongestant. The non-decongestant versions are the ones to give. And I'd be remiss as a dermatologist to not remind people that allergic itchiness with antihistamines, the efficacy is roughly 10%. So it's low in general, but might help in very, very mild allergic cases. But have y'all ever had any clients that happen to give the incorrect version of antihistamines?
No, I mean, I haven't seen it.
Okay, good. And other treatments I think we haven't talked about are, again, question for y'all is, when something has something toxic, often an option is inducing vomiting. So how do y'all like to do that? What medications or treatments are available?
So this is Adam. For in hospital, patient comes in that has ingested the toxin. Obviously, again, that needs to be before it moves on from the stomach. So within 4 hours is ideal. The sooner the better, though. Typically, for most toxins, inducing vomiting is key. Apomorphine is kind of our go-to. There's a couple different formulations of that. There is a injectable that can be given IV, acts almost immediately. There's also a capsule that you can unscrew and use the powder and put it in the conjunctiva, which I've used. That also is very effective. And again, you just kind of pull down the lower lid, and dump the powder in there and kind of work it in. And typically within probably 10, 15 minutes, they're vomiting. With that, obviously, you want to wash the eye out really good, not cause any irritation. But
I was about to ask, is that irritate? Like, do you have any pushback from the patients?
Personally, I haven't had really much. Obviously, just being around the eye, they're a little more sensitive. But I haven't really had much further irritation with the eye. Because again, after vomiting, we obviously flush the eye really good. I haven't used that one in several years. Lately, it's been the injectable IV.
So interrupt real quick. For eye ones, have you used Clevor yet, or like Ripronol?
I have not. Have you?
Yeah. So I used it for the first time probably like 6 months ago. It was when I was doing a relief gig, and that's all they had. They didn't have apomorphine. I'm like, what is this stuff? So I had to like look on Plums and figure out how to dose it out and everything. And
so what was it again, Chris?
It's called Clevor or Ropinolol. Don't you know how I am with saying words, scientific words?
Oh, I got it. Ropinerol.
Yes, that's
Clevor. Gotcha.
Yeah, Clevor.
Ophthalmic solution. Here we go.
But you put it in X amount of drops depending on its weight range, and then it makes them vomit in usually like 15 to 20 minutes, and then you can redose. It's the same as apomorphine. I just like apomorphine because I know how consistent it is, but it worked well. It was fine. It wouldn't be my first go-to, but it's definitely easier to give than given like IV apo.
That's interesting. Yeah, I haven't used that, but maybe we'll look into it because that does sound interesting. But yeah, APO is usually my go-to, what I've used in the past. But I'm interested in something like that for sure. But yeah, the capsule in the eye, I always was kind of weirded out by that, pouring a powder in the conjunctiva. But again, most dogs do fine with it, and they don't have really any kind of like excessive conjunctivitis or irritation that I've seen. Again, that's just me. Talk to an ophthalmologist and see what they have to say about it, because I don't know for sure if there's any other studies or anything on that. But making them vomit, get all that up that we can. Activated charcoal to help absorb anything else that's in there. Some toxins are really bound to activated charcoal. There are a handful that don't bind as well. I know like alcohols, xylitol I don't think is as effective with activated charcoal binding to it. So there are a few. So make sure you're doing your research and kind of looking in your resources to make sure that activated charcoal is indicated. And then maybe some subcutaneous fluids out the door. And then obviously telling the owner to monitor for any potential side effects of whatever toxin that they happen to ingest.
Yeah, this is Jeff again. I think all of that is excellent advice. Quick reminder for if it didn't come to anybody's mind, like xylitol is usually that ingredient in like sugar-free gum or sugar-free products that you want to avoid a patient's eating. And I think another thing that we didn't hit was products like xylazine or alpha-2 agonists are the products that are more that can help cats vomit. So dexdomitor is on that list as well. And keep in mind that, like, I don't know exactly when this episode's going to drop, but it's springtime. It's around Easter time in general, I'll say. So be mindful that things like lilies, if cats eat them, that can cause kidney problems. Help.
Yes, it can cause kidney failure.
Thank you. So lily's bad for kidneys, and obviously, like, it's since we're getting close to Easter, like there's just more chocolate around in general. I feel like a lot of my clients are aware of chocolate, but of course, if you have a dog that is a vacuum dropping some candy, or if you have kids that drop candy, same thing like Halloween time is always something to just be aware of.
And I have yet to see lily toxicity. I feel like now, like, cat owners know not to have lilies, so it's not as commonly seen as I haven't seen it very often, or like at all.
Good. That's great. Hopefully we'll keep it that way.
Yeah.
And as we kind of get towards the end of this episode, I'll hit y'all with just a general fun question, because we love getting to know each other here on the Dogtor Bros. So tell me, and of course I'll give you mine, but what is your favorite TV show right now?
This is Adam. Kind of watching a few right now, I guess. Honestly, I don't watch TV as much as I used to. But I'll go with the one that I actually just finished the season finale of last night, and so I'm like really invested into it, and I can't wait for the next season to drop. Is the Squid Games. Just finished.
Ooh, yeah.
Just finished season 2 last night, and I was really pissed off because it did not feel like a season finale. It felt like just like, okay, what's going to happen next week? Like, it was like the biggest season cliffhanger I've ever seen in my life. So I'm like, what's going to happen next?
So I gotta watch that still.
Since I just finished that, that's got to be on my list, and it's still in my brain of what's going to happen.
Wildly unplanned. We didn't even text about this because that's been out for a while, but I finished it last week.
Yeah,
just randomly, I was like, let me just get into the season 2. Like, I just kept passing it, and I mean, I kind of agree. Like, it just ended like dramatically. It honestly. It ended like a mid-season finale to me. Like
exactly. I was like, that was not a season finale. That was way too much of a cliffhanger. Like, that was crazy.
Yeah. But it took me a couple episodes to get back into it, because I just wanted to be in the games. I do a lot of backstory. Not a real spoiler, but also it's been out for a while, so you hurry up. It's so funny that you just watched that. That was so unplanned. What about you, Chris?
So I haven't watched Squid Games, or at least the second one recently. So I need to watch that. I really like this show up until the second part of this 5th season is Yellowstone. It was like going really, like we just started it last year and then we're watching it through and then they finally dropped like the second half on Peacock or whatever. And it's been such a letdown because of character changes and everything. I won't spoil it if you haven't watched Yellowstone, but something big happened. And it was very abrupt, but then I read more about why that happened off the set type of stuff, but whatever. So that was, I guess, a really awesome show up until season 5. You can kind of go from there.
Oh, fair enough. So this is Jeff again. Squid Game was such a good answer. I just accidentally binge. I feel like a Chris binge this show. So listeners, if you're not aware, Chris had a notorious reputation in vet school for just like plowing through different TV shows. Like he'd be like a season ahead of us on different things we'd watch. But so like I just
that's my toxic trait.
That's your toxic trait. God. Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I don't know if y'all have seen it.
That was really good. I like that one.
Yeah. Did you watch the TV show version?
Yeah, with the Donald Glover.
It was Donald Glover. Yeah. So good.
Yeah, really good.
Me and one of my other best friends, Andrea from childhood, like we watched the movie version from 2005 that I also rewatched today because I was like, well, now I need more of it. Now there's nothing else to watch. But the TV show, I was like, well, I don't know how this is going to stack up because it's kind of a remake. And if you haven't ever seen it, it's basically a spy show. But like they do a very good job if you're into just fun and action. And the premise is basically it's a couple and the couple are spies. And so they get into a lot of shenanigans and, almost die a lot. I'm not going to spoil a lot because that's an obvious thing from like it's a spy show. So it's high risk spy show, but they just did a good job.
And it's not a remake because the best way to describe it it's their names. The Smith it's more of like, those are their agent names. Sure. So it can be played by anybody. So kind of like 007, how they got away with all that stuff too. And it's just the name of the person for that episode. So they could literally have 2 different characters next season if they wanted to. And it'd still be a good show because it's just the agent's name.
That would ruin me.
Because I love the actors. But
I did. I came in with very low expectations, and I was really pleasantly surprised. So I finished that in less than a week, which is a lot for me.
I love everything that Donald Glover does. So I mean, he's just well talented as a person. Yeah.
Multifaceted and all that.
Yes. Thank you once again for joining us on the Dogtor Bros.
If you would like to support us, please share this episode with others who may be interested in today's topic and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Would you like to influence our next episode? We love hearing your opinions and thoughts. Your comments may be our next topic.
Please leave us suggestions via email at thedoctorbros@gmail.com, DM us at thedoctorbros on Instagram, or leave us comments on our posts. Again, this is Brandon. You can reach me at Dr. Mason IM on Instagram.
And this is Chris, and you can reach me on Instagram at dr.chrishernandez.
And this is Jeff. You can find me on TikTok or Instagram at DermDrJeff, DermDogtorJeff.
And this is Adam. You can reach me on Instagram at DrAdamDVM. That's DrAdamDVM.